Welcome to my YouTube channel, Aim High. Today I'm talking about motivational or inspiring thought for Inspire Your Live Life. Today's story name is Unveiling Shadows, an inspiring story of transformation. So let's start.
Shadows into Sunlight is a tale of transformation and hope. It follows the journey of Anaya, a young woman who has been living in the metaphorical shadows of her past. She's been grappling with the loss of her family in a tragic accident, which left her world dark and devoid of color. Anaya's life is a routine of going through the motions until one day, she meets an old painter named Arun in the park. Arun paints only with shades of gray, claiming he lost the ability to see color when he lost his will to live. Their bond forms over shared grief and a mutual understanding of loss. As their friendship deepens, Arun begins to notice subtle hues in the twilight sky, the first signs of color returning to his world. Inspired by Anaya's resilience, he starts to incorporate these newfound colors into his paintings. Meanwhile, Anaya finds solace in Arun's company and his art. She starts to see her own shadows not as places to hide, but as contrasts that make the light more evident. With each stroke of color Arun adds to his canvas, Anaya feels a piece of her own world brighten. The climax of the story occurs during a special art exhibition where Arun unveils his masterpiece, a vibrant painting titled Shadows into Sunlight. The artwork depicts a lone figure stepping out of the darkness and into a burst of sunlight, surrounded by a spectrum of colors. In that moment, Anaya realizes the figure in the painting is her, and the sunlight represents the love, joy, and color she's allowed back into her life. The story concludes with Anaya and Arun looking at the painting, no longer just survivors of their pasts, but thriving individuals who found a way to turn their deepest sorrows into beauty and hope. Shadows into Sunlight is a poignant reminder that even in our darkest moments, there is potential for growth and beauty, and that sometimes it takes another person to help us see the light that's always been there. As the exhibition comes to a close, Anaya and Arun find themselves standing before the painting, lost in its colors that tell their story of healing. The gallery around them buzzes with admirers, but for them, the world has narrowed down to this single frame where shadows dance with light. In the days that follow, Arun's artwork becomes the talk of the town, and Anaya finds herself at the center of a story that inspires many. People who've seen the darkness now look up to her as a beacon of hope. She starts to receive letters and messages from strangers sharing their own tales of sorrow and finding solace in her journey. Moved by the impact of their shared experience, Anaya and Arun decide to collaborate on a project they call the Spectrum Initiative. They organize workshops and art therapy sessions for those who've lost their way in the shadows. Together, they create a safe space where pain is acknowledged, shared, and transformed into something tangible and beautiful. Arun teaches the art of finding colors in the gray, while Anaya shares her story, showing that it's possible to step into the sunlight again. Their initiative quickly grows, touching lives beyond their city, spreading across the country. One evening, as they wrap up a session, a young boy approaches Anaya with a drawing. It's a simple scene, a girl holding hands with an older man, both stepping out from a dark forest into a bright clearing. "That's you and Mr. Arun," he says shyly. "You helped my mom find her colors again." Tears well up in Anaya's eyes as she looks at the drawing, then at Arun, who's watching them with a gentle smile. In that moment, she realizes that their story has come full circle. From the depths of their despair, they've not only found their own way back to light, but have also become the lighthouse for others lost at sea. Shadows into Sunlight is no longer just their story. It's a movement, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, and a reminder that even the longest night will give way to the dawn. Months turned into years, and the Spectrum Initiative blossomed into a global movement. Anaya and Arun's story had sown seeds of change in every corner of the world, sprouting communities where once there was isolation. Anaya, now a renowned speaker and author, published her memoir, From Shadows to Sunlight, detailing her journey with Arun and the countless lives they've touched. The book became a beacon for those navigating their own darkness, offering a map to find their way back to light. Arun, whose art had ignited the spark of this transformation, dedicated his time to mentoring young artists. His studio was a kaleidoscope of emotions, each canvas a step on the path from grief to peace. He often said, "Art is not just about creating beauty, it's about sharing the soul's journey." Their initiative had evolved into an annual festival called The Color of Hope, where people from various backgrounds gathered to share stories, art, and music. It was a celebration of life's spectrum, from the deepest blues to the brightest yellows. During one such festival, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the gathering, Anaya stood on the stage. She looked out at the sea of faces, each carrying a story, each a testament to the power of human connection. She began to speak, her voice steady and clear. Every one of us has known shadows, but together, we've discovered that there is no shadow without light. We are here today because we chose to step into the sunlight, not alone, but hand in hand, heart in heart. The crowd erupted in applause, but Anaya's eyes were on a figure making his way through the throng. It was Arun, his hair now silvered with time, his face lined with the wisdom of years. He carried a painting, covered with a cloth. Reaching the stage, he unveiled the painting. It was a breathtaking panorama of the festival, with Anaya at its heart, surrounded by faces filled with joy and colors that seemed to leap from the canvas.
Years since the Color of Hope festival, and the legacy of Anaya and Arun's movement had woven itself into the fabric of society. Their story, once a beacon for the lost, had become a guiding light for the world. Anaya had echoed through halls and hearts, decided it was time to pass the torch. She established the Sunlight Scholarship, a program to support young leaders who studied the principles of the initiative. Scholarship provided resources for these young visionaries to bring light into dark corners of the world, continuing the work she and Arun had begun. Arun, whose hand painted 1,000 stars to set his brushes down, he turned his studio into a museum, a place where people could witness the journey from shadows to sunlight through the art that had captured it. The museum became a pilgrimage site for seeking inspiration, and spent his days sharing stories behind each piece. As Anaya and Arun grew older, they watched their initiative evolve beyond them. The Spectrum Initiative sparked a global conversation about health, grief, and it was no longer just about art. It had become a holistic approach to wellness, integrating therapy, community support, and creative expression. One day, during a quiet morning at the museum, arrived for Arun. It was from a young girl living in a distant land where the sun was just a faint glow on the horizon. She wrote of how Anaya's book had found its way to her village, and how Arun's painting, replicated a local exhibition, had lit up her imagination. The girl spoke of her dream to bring color of hope to her own people, the light she had found in their story. Touched by her words, Arun knew this was the beginning of a new chapter. He reached out to Anaya, and together they decided to embark on one project.
In the twilight of their years, Anaya and Arun watched as the seeds they had planted grew into a forest of hope. Their story, a legend whispered in the wind. The Sunlight Scholarship, had ignited a new generation of leaders, and the museum stood as a testament to the transformative power of art and empathy. The girl from the distant village, now a young woman, had become a symbol of the movement's reach. Her own Color of Hope festival was a vibrant tapestry of culture and resilience, drawing people from across the globe. She had taken Anaya and Arun's message and woven it into the fabric of her community, creating a mosaic of change. As the world continued to spin, the legacy of Shadows into Sunlight found its way into classrooms, where children learned about emotional literacy through Anaya's memoirs. It was discussed in boardrooms, where CEOs implemented wellness programs inspired by Arun's teachings. It was felt in the quiet moments of reflection, where individuals found strength in their stories. Anaya and Arun, now content to observe the ripples of their life's work, decided to write one last chapter together, a book that would capture the essence of their journey and the countless lives that had intersected with theirs. They called it The Infinite Spectrum, a narrative that spanned beyond their lifetimes, a chronicle of humanity's endless capacity for healing and growth. The book's release was celebrated worldwide, with festivals of light commemorating its message. From the lanterns released into the night sky to the candles lit in silent solidarity, the world glowed with the warmth of their story. In the final pages of The Infinite Spectrum, Anaya wrote, "We are all artists of our own lives, painting with the colors of our experiences. Our canvas is infinite, our palette ever-changing. And though we may start with shadows, there is always room for sunlight." Arun's last painting, a companion piece to the book, was a mural that spanned an entire city block. It depicted a tree with roots deep in shadow and branches reaching high into the light, its leaves a myriad of colors, each one representing a story, a life, a lesson learned. Anaya's journey of self-discovery continues as she delves deeper into the world of painting under Dev's mentorship. Each brushstroke becomes a conversation with her inner self, and every canvas tells a story of her evolving perspective. Dev's studio, once a place of solitude, now resonates with the laughter and chatter of a newfound friendship. As the monsoon season arrives, the pitter-patter of raindrops inspires Anaya to create a masterpiece that reflects her transformation. She titles it Shadows into Sunlight, a vivid portrayal of a dark, stormy sky, clearing up to reveal the warm, golden hues of the sun. The day comes when Anaya decides to showcase her work in an exhibition. The local community gathers, intrigued by the buzz around the young artist who turned her life around. Among the crowd, Anaya spots familiar faces, her family, who had been estranged by the shadows of her past. They stand in awe, not just of her art, but of her courage to step into the sunlight. Shadows into Sunlight becomes more than just a painting. It symbolizes hope, healing, and the beauty of second chances. Anaya's story encourages others to seek their sunlight, no matter how deep their shadows may seem. As Anaya's exhibition comes to a close, the impact of her work begins to ripple through her community. The story of her transformation, embodied in her art, inspires others to confront their own shadows. The exhibition becomes a sanctuary for shared stories, a place where people come together not just to admire art, but to connect and heal. Moved by the response, Anaya and Dev decide to turn the studio into a community art center, the Sunlight Space. Here, people from all walks of life can learn to express themselves through art. The center becomes a beacon of creativity and support, fostering a sense of belonging and community spirit. Months pass, and the Sunlight Space thrives. Anaya's story is featured in local newspapers, and she becomes a symbol of hope. Her journey encourages her to reconnect with her roots, and she starts a project to bring art to underprivileged areas, believing everyone deserves a chance to turn their shadows into sunlight. Anaya's transformation is now complete. From a solitary figure engulfed by darkness to a radiant soul spreading light, she has not only changed her life, but also ignited a spark of change in others. shadows into sunlight is no longer just Anaya's story. It's a movement, a testament to the power of art and the human spirit to overcome and shine.